Welcome to Movie Night with James, where the School of Community is exercised through film. Part 1 tonight, Adam and I will be discussing and comparing two movies, the 1964 film Zulu and the 1986 film The Mission. Part 2 will be another round of raucous laughter as Anthony and Tim rejoin me for the terrible disappointment that is Ouija, Origin of Evil. So join us tonight for a critical look at colonialism in film, and then have a drink with us later on as we descend into another night at the horror cinema. As usual, here's a preview of Part 2.
I mean, yes, I wouldn't like it if people called me a halfling.
He's
just like a crusader.
He's a crusader in China.
I remember in order to watch movies, we had to drive to the video store, pick up the VHS tape, and they charged us $2 if we didn't rewind it when we gave it back.
Bring your phone with you.
Oh, did you hear that?
I did.
Jesus.
Okay, Anthony,
That was...
this is getting really freaky, actually. Was it demonic charades? S? Is it really going to be the strip club? Oh, okay, S-H. I was at the shit home.
Shopping.
Shoe store.
Showgirls?
Showing a house?
Showers.
This movie made in the 60s, too?
Do what the mom did in the last movie and kick her in the face down the stairs.
Right? Yes! Kick her in the face!
I feel the lowest chakra just clenching right now.
I'm gonna start calling you Grandpa Ted.
And it was just the ball bouncing, and you move the paddle to get the bar to...
Yeah, that's Pong.
That sounds like Pong.
Did you learn how to type on a typewriter?
I actually did learn how to... Yes, thank you, Anthony. I did learn how to type.
Thanks, douchebag.
But before the vulgarity, let's start with Zulu.
Right, hello again.
Hi, Adam.
So, what did you make of the thing in its totality?
I thought it was a rather well done film. You really got the sense of trying to think your way out of a situation, or it gave me this feeling of like a puzzle to solve. Like, how do you stay alive in a situation? You know, being so severely outnumbered and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why this film, at least in its mechanical operation, was very inspirational for other films that came later, but otherwise I kind of felt very neutral about it. According to the wiki, there was no parting salute by song that we saw at the end there.
No.
Aside from that, I just feel a bit decisively neutral about this film. It didn't really strike me as particularly special, I guess. I feel like I don't have too much to say about Zulu. Aside from that, I wasn't so entertained. I'm almost apathetic to the film.
Right.
I didn't feel much emotional investment. I felt like the tropes were a bit too obvious.
Easy. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the cavalry didn't return.
No, they didn't. You're expecting it.
Yeah. I mean, it is based off of a historical event, so not everything has to follow all the tropes, right?
Of course.
Actually, I also read on the wiki just now that Hook's character, the one that was so obviously going to have a redemption moment, he never had a redemption moment in real life. The actual Hook was a devoted soldier the whole time, and that they invented this redemption arc for the sake of having that as part of the story, as part of making it interesting.
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of the reason why I found it so predictable and bland. I would have actually preferred him just being a regular soldier. I didn't think it was necessary.
Right.
The priest was stuff.
You're going to speak about the priest. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess he's the preacher because he's Swedish Lutheran, I'm guessing. I just found him insufferable. I would have gagged him a long time ago. I laughed whenever he was like...
Preaching, you know.
At the end, what was he saying before you're all going to die? It's like, death awaits you. That's what it is.
Right, okay, yeah.
You've made a covenant with death and hell, you were in agreement. Death awaits you. Oh,
Why is that so funny to you?
I don't know. It's just so over the top, so dramatic, and
that's the point, I think, of his character.
It is.
On the one hand, he's this dramatic preacher, but he's a drunkard coward.
Yeah, he is a drunken
coward. That's the juxtaposition there. And all of his preaching and niceties to the Zulus prior, it's all surface level.
Mm-hmm.
None of it actually has any depth to it. No, there's no honesty either.
exactly.
And there's an interesting moment actually right at the start when the British begin to start barricading the mission, the Rorke's Drift mission.
Hmm.
And he says to, I think it was Chard, he says, are you not a Christian?
Right.
And Chard just ignores him. Because of
Right.
course he is.
Right.
Like, it's implicit. It shouldn't, it's not something that has to be said, but the fact of the matter, though, is that they were told to hold the building. They were told to hold the position, and that's exactly what they had to do. There was no other decision they could make.
Right. They had to hold it, unfortunately.
Mm.
What I'm really curious about is how you felt about this movie.
It's funny because
Go
I
ahead.
felt I expected myself to be totally neutral like you, but I feel a bit. I don't know. I feel like there's some. I mean, maybe it's because men in my family actually did undergo things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my great grandfathers fought in the Second War when he was 15. He lied about his age to get in, so he could fight for his country and all of this. Another great grandfather had half his head blown off, and maybe the Second War, obviously, I mean that was a half century later. But
It was
there's
a
still
very
that.
different war, too.
It was a very different war, but there's still that stiff upper lip British military culture.
Yes, of course.
There's still that kind of stuffiness,
Of course.
which this film I think does portray very well. The stuffiness and the how awkward it is, the awkwardness of their situation that they were told to hold it. They couldn't do this, they couldn't do that. They didn't have much water, they didn't have any food. They were alone. They were afraid, but they couldn't do anything. Then the hospital was set on fire. It was just this wave and wave and wave and wave of pessimism.
Yes.
And of doom almost. They had enough. They could do nothing else. It's like obviously they're between a rock and a hard place, but just to an extreme degree. But they still managed to survive. There were feats of bravery and of courage in spite of that. In spite of that kind of the limitations that were there.
Yeah, that's true.
And that sort of idea, that's really the only thing that struck me about the film. Now that I've seen it in its totality, I think it obviously some of the things were dramatized a little bit, and some things were added which shouldn't have really been there and didn't need to be there if you wanted to tell an authentic story. But it's obvious that they wanted to get kind of they wanted it to be kind of action packed as well.
Of course.
For the cinema, but that doesn't, I think, take away from the actual events themselves. I mean, the interesting thing is they were defending a mission. That's what they were defending. It wasn't a military outpost. It wasn't a town. It wasn't even a well or some resource. It was a mission, right? So it was a mission, supply depot, and a hospital. Hence, you have the church and the storeroom and the hospital there.
Right. I guess with these kinds of films, Adam, I can't ever fully enter into them because it's a mix. Because you have this objective bravery to follow one's orders, but then it's for a purpose or a campaign that I feel...
It's totally pointless and without legitimacy.
Correct.
Yeah. No, totally. I think that's another thing that the film actually does demonstrate well is the juxtaposition between them manning a conceivably indefensible position for some reason the higher-ups, the sergeants, and so on, have decided, and that you have all these men on the field, including boys as old as 16 and all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you do have that kind of juxtaposition, and it makes it difficult to really appreciate it, I think, fully. Because it isn't glorious.
No. I mean, their personal bravery should not be diminished. They certainly...
No.
It really does take a lot of courage to stand your ground. But I can't connect. The whole idea of the British Empire is just... It could have been so much better. Why did they even want to hold South Africa to begin with? It's all for the essence of a mercantilist system.
Mm-hmm.
And where is, like you said, the glory?
It feels like all that courage and bravery ultimately, what was it for?
Well,
obviously,
sure.
it was for itself, of course.
Yeah.
But what could have been, that does come to mind. There could have been much better reasons for those who died to die.
Mm-hmm.
There could have been better reasons to hold the position. There could have been a better place to be instead of in South Africa, which is quite a long way from England, a long way away from England and Wales.
Yeah, I saw it in the way that the native Welshmen looked at the soil and said, it's too dry and you can't bury a person here. What that means is that you can't call that a home if you can't bury yourself there.
No.
And they felt alienated in that land. It wasn't their natural land.
No, they knew they didn't belong there.
Yeah.
I think that was implicit throughout the thing, throughout the movie, is that they were outsiders. They were in the middle of nowhere, with no support, no help, left only to their own wits and some guns, basically. It's a very lost and almost very, very sad image, really. At the end of the film, you don't feel a sense of victory.
No. Because it's like watching a bunch of robbers who managed to hold off an apartment complex of people who wanted to kick them out.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't see it that way.
Well, no, I mean, they weren't.
They aren't criminals, but
No.
but when you take it within a broader whole, you can make that claim. But to me, it just comes off dry. It comes off very empty and very, yeah, as it was there, this dry soil, lack of water. One is thirsty for more.
Exactly.
Or for something else. One is thirsty for the heroism. It's just something not quite right about the whole idea. And yeah, it does go back to the British Empire and what a mistake it was. Because the British Empire was nothing but England letting off the steam of industrialism.
Yes.
There was nothing else.
And feeding it, actually.
Of course, yes.
It
And
needed
then
the raw
sustaining it.
materials in order to
Mhm.
industrialize something. It needed
Yeah.
it needed the cotton to make its textiles in the Midlands or wherever.
Yeah.
It needed the rubber. It needed all these types of things, which ultimately it's just very materialistic.
It was totally materialistic. The British Empire was totally materialistic and mercantile. Absolutely. There was a sort of ceremonial, the idea of empire, and we had, Victoria crowning herself Empress of India and all of this.
Hmm.
But really, they were empty political titles.
Yes, and part of the reason why she did that was because she didn't want to be outranked by her German cousin, or whoever it was when they formed the German Empire.
Right.
Just
So
really petty,
Yeah, you see this sort of emptiness and lack of quality. There's a lack of an inner purity,
Yes.
I think. Especially, and it comes out in these sorts of endeavors. I mean, these poor sods are in the middle of nowhere and they've been basically sent to die. And for what? And obviously they will be Christians themselves, but they aren't
But
there for the faith.
But even their Christianity is really as dry as the environment. Because even at
It
the
is.
end, the one guy says it's a miracle, and then the commanding officer said it's a miracle of whatever caliber bullet it
Yeah,
was.
45 calibers, yeah.
Exactly. So it was more of this. They had faith in their tactics and in their technical superiority.
But one also, and this is another thing which comes really from England and was one of the facilitating factors of the empire, was the class system. And I think it's very true that a lot of the lads who were fighting there would not have been nobility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They would not have been of a kind of the higher half of society in any way. Even the lieutenant himself, the commanding the engineer, John Rouse Marriott Chard. So yeah, he went to the Royal Military Academy, but he wasn't of a noble family.
Right.
Military family, but they weren't noble. But the other guy, Gronville Bromhead, good name. He was born into a notable military family. But even then, what was the whole point? Well, what was expressed in the film was that he was really only there because he had inherited the titles and the political power to be a lieutenant.
Exactly. And it's missing that second birth that we talk about in the actual Aryan caste system, where you needed to actually act like your caste instead of just being born into it.
Yes.
And unfortunately, we have this being rampant in the industrialization of the military. It wasn't just the economics, but it was also the warfare. It was also the officer class was created as a kind of equivalent to the capitalist class that was growing, because the rich men of the city, the bureaucrats and the politicians, were now replacing the lords and the nobles, and you had the same thing happening in the military. At least that's what I get from this film. I think that's why I couldn't really connect with this, because I felt as if I couldn't connect with it because it wasn't about my people. And I mean that in the spiritual sense.
Yes.
Because there weren't any noble actions. I mean, the bravery was real. That in itself was like a glimmer of nobility, but
it wasn't inherent.
No, it didn't have a direction. It was like the constitutional monarchy. It had all the trappings of legitimacy, but it didn't actually guide. There was no guiding principle to it. It was it's just a figurehead for the prime minister and the cabinet and the MPs. So their courage and bravery was just put there to legitimize the fact that they had no real purpose to being there. And that just really sours it for me. It's like mixing things which really shouldn't be mixed.
Yeah, but I do think that was the sorry fact of the British Empire. And I suppose that time in especially European history, just generally, you had this sort of mass proletarianization of things and of society. And because everything was reduced to wealth and to quantity, the qualitative was just, it floated away. And there are glimmers, like with the commanding officer, the colour sergeant out of it. The colour sergeant, when he recites one of the psalms, part of the psalms. But you see glimmers of a kind of religiosity and a kind of faith as well after that, when they, there's another point where someone says, I hope the Lord is with us.
Yeah, but it felt so very bourgeois.
It did feel very bourgeois.
It's like the good Victorian also goes to church on Sunday and has a moralistic view of life, It just, it didn't inspire me. It wasn't like defending Jerusalem from the Muslim invaders. It didn't have that dimension to it. It was this little Swedish Lutheran mission that was there because religion aided the spread of the colonial empire.
Yes. I'm not speaking about him, by the way.
I'm sorry, say that one again?
I'm not speaking about him.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think he was totally ignoble, ultimately. But there was a moment where one of the soldiers, says quite honestly, I hope God is with us.
Yes.
But like you said, it is a kind of bourgeois sort of... Maybe in such a moment of stress, it was serious and was genuine.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But then it's only a glimmer, as you say, about bravery and the honour there. It is only a glimmer. It isn't the real thing. And any of this good stuff which could be there is directionless and ultimately formless.
Yes.
So, I mean, the film for me, it's actually very pessimistic. As much as it's all about, we survived these hardships, it's still, this general trend is still downwards.
Yes. And even the way in which they survived the hardships, it was a lot due to their adherence to kind of systematic science, systematic scientism. But I'm curious what you would think about, obviously this movie was recommended to you.
It was.
Why do you think other people might like this movie? I mean, for one, not just on a technical level, because technically it's a brilliant film. This was made in the 60s. They had excellent shots. I really liked the one shot where you saw all of the men looking off at all the riders leaving. That was excellently done. I thought the effects were, the conventional effects were excellent. So mechanically, it was a beautiful film. But I can only imagine that people who might have recommended this to you, for example, might have thought that this was a glorious film. Why do you think that is?
Because if man is faced with dirt or nothing, he'll eat the dirt, James. I think that's totally true, and I think that's ultimately what this film does encapsulate.
Yeah.
In total, when you pick up the sum of its parts and you consider the historical context, and even when you consider the bravery of the men there and what they had to undergo and the stress that they underwent, because to actually have experienced that must have been utterly. Those people knew they were all going to die.
Right.
And they were simply holding the position because that's all they could do. But even despite all of this, there is this just kind of, like we say, it isn't enough. There's a glimmer of something fruitful and valuable, but it's only that.
I think it reminds me a little bit of how some people believe that the cycle can be reversed, in the sense that instead of transitioning from the Kali Yuga to the Golden Age, that they can return back to the Bronze Age, return back to the Silver Age, and then get to the Golden Age. Kind of this backward flow. And that's why I think that you see certain people make these connections to something like this. But at the same time, there's really a shallowness, I think. I can understand why this would appeal to a bourgeois audience that is all about the British Empire and that idolizes the British Empire as something to be, romanticized and want to bring back.
Well, the thing is, that is the standard view of the middle and lower class in this country. Because again, it comes back to dirt or nothing, because it's some kind of unifying banner. There's some glimmer of heroism and of daring and of adventure. There is some kind of feeling of something greater than the self. But it's not a statue made of bronze, made of clay.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Isn't the real stuff.
I see. It's like one of those lawn ornaments compared to the real thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it looks pretty in front of a bourgeois house, but it's not a work of art. It's just a cheap copy.
Exactly. And that's why, ultimately, regarding this film, there are some good moments, and it is a good film, but if we want to look at it in a kind of meta-narrative way,
Yeah.
it's ultimately, I think, one takes a pessimistic view regarding it.
Yeah. And this is the trouble that I have when like, for example, my American friends want me to watch movies like, what was that one with the sniper in Iraq or something? That
I don't know.
There was this similar film about a sniper in Iraq, and the end of that film was that they had to hold position on top of this building as, terrorists or Iraqis or whatever swarmed around them. It's a kind of a similar feel. And it's like I couldn't connect with that, because why were you guys in Iraq in the first place? I just couldn't. As opposed to something much more pure and real, such as watching, Lord of the Rings and Helm's Deep and defending against the orc hordes, something that had a real vertical dimension. Even in a historical setting, which, like Henry V, because his claim on the French crown was something that included the vertical element, actual monarchy, as opposed to just economic gains, conquest not to exploit, but to reign over.
Yes.
So, unfortunately, Zulu is technically a good film, but essentially, I'm frustrated because I hate having to tiptoe around this, because I don't ever want to diminish the actual and real bravery. See, here's the thing. People can't seem to understand my criticism because, like, oh, you're simply not being patriotic, James. These people died for freedom and all. I'm talking also about all films similar to this. It's like you have to recognize their bravery and things like this, and and
one can accept the bravery of the individuals involved in
yes.
spite of the bad situation. But when you take the thing as a whole within its full context, those small acts of bravery, they are really diminished because of the broader context.
Right. It's analogous to how there is no salvation outside of the Catholic Church, but it is possible for individuals to be saved. It's kind of this interesting paradox where one can truly recognize the objective valor and validity and strength of the individuals, but when they are not in the context of what is transcendent, visibly, and good, there is that problem. I can totally recognize that these people were brave, but the fact that they aren't in the context of what is transcendent, vertical, good, and really courageous, I can't celebrate as much as they can.
No, I mean, this is the first sort of thing I've watched of its type.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any instinctual draw to it. I mean, I'm not a film person, but even in regard to films, these sorts of things don't appeal to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have anything else to say on the film.
I wasted my time. If I'm really honest, if I really want to be expressive, I want to say I wasted my time with this film. I didn't waste it in the sense that I wasted the time spending it with you. No. It's always good to spend time with you. But what I mean is that if I wanted to watch this on my own, I would have wasted my time.
Yes, you would have stopped 20 minutes in.
Exactly.
5 minutes in even.
No, because at least the African portions, interestingly, when the chief ordered the one guy who was mistreating his guests to be killed, I wanted to get up and clap. That was just excellent. So I might have watched for like maybe 10, 20 minutes, but then I also think about how the Romans dealt with black Africans. As far as the Romans were concerned, discrimination is such an anachronistic term, but really they divided you up by citizenship. Whether or not you were a Roman citizen. So, and that's the difference between something like Rome and America, which tries to put on the idea of having virtues, but really what America has is not virtue, but ideology, which is very different.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
so, you can be Roman in the spiritual sense, but there's no such thing as being spiritually American. You're just ideologically American.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you can't be ideologically Roman. You had to be spiritually Roman. And so there's this big disconnect. Anyway, I don't want to ramble on. Thank you, Adam.
Was it my pleasure?
Oh,
It was worth doing.
Yes, it was.
I'm sure you will cleanse the earth for us with your next decision to what we're going to watch.
See, that's what I'm wondering. I almost want to show you The Mission. The Mission is also about colonialism and a mission, but it's qualitatively different than this film. Actually, I've decided it's going to be The Mission. But thank you, Adam. You need to eat, you need to drink. Ale doesn't count as drinking.
We don't have any more ale, it's okay.
Anymore because you've drunk it all.
Yeah, that's quite right, but...
We watched The Mission yesterday. What did you think of it?
I enjoyed it. Like Calvary, it was very poignant. That was the word you used yesterday. Efficacious, very strong, it's very... We could say flavorful. I don't know. It was quite an emotional film. There were a few moments where you felt a kind of a real humanity about the film. That's what really comes to me when I think of it.
Which scenes might you be thinking of?
There are a few. The first one in the film which comes to mind is when Father Gabriel is in the jungle playing his oboe.
Yes.
And what were they called again? Guarani. They surround him and all this. Yes. And then one of the grumpy old folk of the tribe breaks his oboe in half, perceiving it seeing it as magic or something. But then someone else picks it up and tries to hand it in two pieces and try to put it back together. That moment there, just kind of everything's going to be okay because they're all there, spears drawn.
Yes.
And yet, when that happens, it's like the clouds clear. Another moment was later in the film where Rodrigo, who is another main character, after he kills his brother, half-brother, and all of this, who's also a slaver and all of this, but when he's in that cell, and when Father Gabriel visits him, and it was interesting because earlier we saw one of the things which led to him killing his half-brother was someone else. He was in a bit of a bad mood, to say the least, and someone said he brushed past someone. He stopped and thought, are you laughing at me?
Right.
And they said, no. But then his brother, the half-brother, comes in, says, direct your anger at me, your quarrel is with me, all this, and then what happens. But in the cell, Father Gabriel does kind of smirk. That he doesn't even laugh. But Rodrigo is so insecure and aggressive that he pins him against the wall and says, you laughing at me? And Father Gabriel says, yes, I am. Completely, with it's totally blank-faced. And there are just little moments like this in the film which just kind of capture something very real and very serious and very profound, I think.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it is a very serious and very profound film. But there are just little dips, just little moments which really add to that and are very flavorful. There are many later on, of course, and right at the end, where Rodrigo is dying and he sees Father Gabriel leading the tribe's people.
Yes. That was definitely my favorite part of the movie. Every time I watch
that's
it.
like a crescendo. That was a crescendo of feeling.
It was. It really was. For me, that just showed true courage. And that's not to say that nobody else had courage, but there was a true courage because Father Gabriel was also obedient. He was told not to fight, and he followed. He was like, I am a Jesuit, and so I will follow. I have an obedient spirit, and so I will follow. But it didn't mean that he abandoned the people either. He found a way to follow the letter of the law, but also offer his sacrifice and his solace. And when he says to Rodrigo earlier, help them as a priest, this is Father Gabriel helping them as a priest, because he knows that they will all probably perish or be enslaved. And so it is the only way that can liberate man from this is to prepare them for the next life. The moment when he performs the benediction on the tribespeople was just really beautiful for me, because at that point, it really shows that there is a world beyond this one. It really shows the conviction that there is something more than just the kind of mundane politics that's going on, or these quests for power and money. And Father Gabriel really exemplified that. And I like to think that Rodrigo recognized this at the very end.
Yes,
That the
I think he did.
Yeah, yeah. And that the last person that Father Gabriel saved that day was Rodrigo also.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Rodrigo took the path of blood, I think that at that last moment when he realized that what Father Gabriel was doing was the way to really save these people.
Yeah.
I was also going to say that it doesn't negate the righteousness of fighting for the people, because even Father Gabriel understood this. He was in conflict about it. He wasn't stoic about it. He was in real pain about it because he wanted to fight for these people. But he also recognized that there is something mystical going on when he is being asked to be obedient.
Yes.
And so his sacrifice may have merited that tribe much more than any temporal gain. And it wells me up a little bit right now even, because when I see that, how many of those people merited righteousness? Because when I watched that scene, who were the savages in that scene? Because even the soldiers began to recognize, I don't want to do this. They're firing on the Blessed Sacrament. This is like ISIS levels of idiocy and savagery and profanity.
Yeah, but they have to do it because that's orders. But Gabriel has his orders.
Exactly.
And his orders are from God, ultimately. I was disappointed when he broke his vows. Because he was initiated into the Jesuits. He became Brother Rodrigo.
That's right.
But he decided to break his vows so that he could fight to defend the tribesmen. Which is noble, but he still broke his vows.
Exactly.
And he broke his word, and the sacred word as well.
Exactly.
You can empathize with both sides of it. But it's like you have Rodrigo and Gabriel going together, and then at 2 points they diverge, and that's at Rodrigo breaking his vows. But then right at the end, as he lays there dying, just really at the moment where Gabriel is killed, he then joins him again.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely believe that. I always get emotional at that point.
Because the film does such a good job at demonstrating the difference between savagery and civilization, between love and hatred, between righteousness and evil, between justice and injustice. All throughout the film, we're peppered with this kind of sense about the Spanish and the Portuguese and the mercenaries and the money and the slavery and the politics of the church's involvement and all of this. And it all seems so petty and small compared to the purity of what Father Gabriel and the Jesuits there have achieved, and the sincerity of it.
Right.
All of the money and superfluousness just is like a petty squabble.
It is.
Well, yeah, it is. And there are other points where one is disappointed as well. With Rodrigo, you do feel that he did redeem himself.
Yes.
And the arc of his redemption from when he's in the cell, Father Gabriel says, why don't you even want to try to redeem yourself? And Rodrigo says, can you bear to see me fail? And obviously Father Gabriel's, the scene ends there, but we know that Father Gabriel's answer is yes.
Right.
We know that it's yes, because ultimately it is up to Rodrigo, and he is no man.
Yeah.
But the arc of his kind of redemption and pulling his armor and sword up the mountain, up the waterfall, up the cliff face, through the jungle. And I found it very interesting, actually, when one of the other Jesuits, one of the other brothers, says to Gabriel, hasn't he done enough? Hasn't he done, and Gabriel just replies, he's done enough when he believes he has done enough, and that's when I'll be happy. And Rodrigo sticks to it.
Yeah.
Which is how you know it was serious and sincere. And even when the same brother cuts the rope, which he's using to haul off this heavy gear, Rodrigo goes back down to where it fell and brings it back up.
Exactly. He ties it back onto himself. He doesn't even say anything. He just does it.
Yeah. He doesn't chastise the brother. He doesn't complain. He doesn't whatever. You can tell he's tired, weary, weak, but he still does it. He doesn't need words. Just what he is present in his actions. And then, of course, when they reach the top, where they reach the mission, where they reach the villagers, the tribespeople, and one of the tribespeople recognizes him as a slaver and a killer, and he comes to them with a knife at the throat, and Rodrigo didn't react. And now I was very surprised at that. I thought he was going to do something, at the very least beg.
Really?
But Yeah, I expected him to have some reaction, but he didn't. He just, and then obviously the scene cuts to Gabriel's gaze as he looks on,
Yes.
kind of almost as if Gabriel is controlling the scene in a way,
Hmm.
by some measure, as if he's commanding it, as if
I think what it
right.
is
Go
that
ahead.
Father Gabriel had faith.
Yes, that's it. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
If he's letting the righteousness of it all just play out how it should.
Yeah. I think that he had faith in the nobility and respect that both the penitent and the tribespeople are expressing, because, like you mentioned, the tribespeople know him.
Mm.
He's killed probably their relatives. I even have this kind of hypothesis that the one child, who later on becomes Rodrigo's like best friend, I even suspect that his father was killed or captured by Rodrigo, because we don't ever see his father anywhere. He's always just attached to Rodrigo, and at first he has this very severe expression on his face when he's around him, but then when they see that Rodrigo is very sincere, he starts smiling at him.
Mm.
And so there's this faith that, and I love how Father Gabriel like holds back Liam Neeson's character and just allows this whole thing to happen, just being willing to let Rodrigo be killed if that is... He understands that that would be the just thing. That would be justice. But he also understands that there is a chance for mercy here. And the tribespeople really did show mercy.
Mm-hmm. And they cut his bonds and throw his weight into the water.
Exactly. They absolved him of that weight. And in some ways they were the most fit to do that, because what I love about the imagery is that Rodrigo kills his kin, and he can't ever get forgiveness in this life from his kin. But he can get forgiveness from those distant relatives, the distant human relatives that he has with these people.
Yeah, the subhumans who, in his eyes, before that point,
right?
Hence he enslaves them and captures them and all of this and kills them, because they are, as we see throughout the film, and that's the general view, which is held at the kind of central outpost or plantation, that the tribes people are beneath men. They are not men. They're animals. I think at one point where the cardinal comes from Europe. And you have the tribal boys singing, and someone says, I think it's a Spanish governor.
That's right, yeah. He
says, after that, kind of, just like a parrot can mimic human speech. He compares the boy to a parrot that can mimic human speech, and that's the general view, and that's obviously the view which Rodrigo held.
Right.
But there he is, the knife at his throat, at the hand of the tribe people who he dehumanized.
Yeah.
But they showed him mercy, where he couldn't show them mercy or his brother mercy.
Exactly.
And it was a very, very powerful moment. And it was that point which marked his personal transformation.
How did you think this movie compared with Zulu?
Oh, vastly superior. It was... Well... They're different genres, really.
Course,
Zulu is an action, right?
It is. It really
Whereas
is.
this is more... What would you describe this as?
Like a historical drama, I'd say.
Yeah. So it's going to be more subtle. It's going to focus on things which are more implicit. Things which are more felt through action, not words.
Right.
And it's going to be more naturally poignant. Because the film, the way the film is directed and written, the characters themselves, it gives room to grow a set number of personalities.
Exactly.
Within a broader context, which is that political struggle as well as the metaphysical kind of dimension of what happened, or at least their interaction with the metaphysical dimension. It gives room to explore these things. And of course, the main kind of protagonist, Father Gabriel, a Jesuit priest, he is a man of intense faith and intelligence. Whereas in Zulu, our protagonists are either two lieutenants or they are the British as a whole, as in the idea of the British soldiery. And even then, the two characters aren't really fleshed out. You get a sense of what they are in Zulu, what their personalities are, and there is some good interplay. But the depth of the characters is only expressed really in the setting of the film,
Right.
which is a battle, which took place for about 30 hours. Whereas with the mission, it takes place over a longer time period.
Right.
And it's more about a narrative and a story which has a beginning and an end.
Right.
And a meaning as well, and a significance,
Right.
which goes beyond simply the mundane.
We touched on two heavenly things with the mission, and what is truly below the surface and beyond the surface. What I loved about the mission too was the setting of this area above the falls, where one had to climb in the vertical direction against the resistance of the element of disillusion, the element of water which dissolves things. Just a very poignant way of demonstrating a spiritual journey. And even with Liam Neeson's character, which might almost be analogous to the priest with little integrity in Calvary, though certainly not as bad.
No way. No.
But he goes down the falls, bringing one of the lieutenants chasing him with him.
Yes, that was his plan.
Right, exactly.
You realise that he was trying to bring the lieutenant and the other people on that boat to follow them and chase them down the falls into their doom.
Exactly.
And so if he didn't get shot, he would have died.
Right.
Down the falls anyway. So he did sacrifice himself. And so you could say, in a way, he, in spite of his choosing to take up the sword or musket, in a way he did redeem himself in a way.
Yeah, that was a little...
Well, because they were trying to avert danger.
You know, it's hard to say that was not heroic, because obviously you have all of the hallmarks of heroism there. But it's heroic on the aristocratic level. Unfortunately, and this is where a little bit of the integrity comes in, because if that was to be the case, he should have been something else, rather than a priest.
He should have been an aristocrat, not a monk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have that contention, especially like the latter half.
Mm-hmm.
And another point was when Rodrigo calls the Spanish governor a liar.
Yeah.
But he then begs for forgiveness and apologizes. But doesn't just apologize to the governor. He apologizes to Father Gabriel. He apologizes to his brothers. He apologizes to the cardinal. He even apologizes to the tribal lad.
That's right.
Who's his helper, his assistant.
Right.
He realizes that the apology that he's making isn't a submission
right.
out of weakness, but it's a submission out of strength because he can take it.
Exactly.
Throughout the film, you have these various kinds of dualisms pop up and pop back. It's very dynamic. It's very contrasting. There are lots of different moments in the film which just reek of contrast. The juxtaposition, light and dark, black and white. It's very interesting.
Part of the reason why I wanted to compare these two films, Zulu and The Mission, was because they both dealt with the subject of colonialism in a particular way. And there was a period in Spanish history where colonialism was a much more noble endeavor, especially in the way that it was framed by Queen Isabel. And the Spaniards actually did a lot of work in the Salamanca school to really recognize how to treat Indians or natives of other areas. This is part of the reason why you saw that in Spanish territories, by law, slavery is illegal, even though in the Portuguese territories it is not illegal. And the Spaniards simply buy the slaves off of the Portuguese.
Yeah.
So you see that there is this desire from the monarch. And this is part of what the cardinal was trying to convince Don Cabeza, I think that's his name, the head of the Spanish
that's right.
there. He was trying to convince him, you and I serve Catholics. I serve the Pope and you serve a Catholic king. The Portuguese guy was like, oh, well, don't I serve a Catholic king also? And the cardinal was, no, you serve the Marquis of Pombal, and he's virulently anti-Catholic. And so you see this idea that the church has always maintained the dignity of persons throughout all of this era of exploration. And you could see that in this film, and then culminating perhaps in the kind of imperialism of the 19th century with the Zulu, how what colonialism was taken to the nth degree and stripped of all of its spiritual trappings whatsoever. And
it was rendered down to its bare components physically.
Exactly. And you see that too in the way that Zulu was as a drama, because they were very technical about the whole movie. It was an action movie, and a lot of it focused on the technicality. We would have the flying squadron, we would have the different walls, and that is how the British Empire and other empires of that era acquired ascendancy, through funneling technological superiority into greed, basically. I mean, it boils down to greed. Even the idea of the missionary there, the Swedish missionary, was just kind of lip service in order to maintain any kind of legitimacy to being there. Whereas for the Spaniards, at least the theory was that you had kind of a peaceful coexistence with the natives in such a way that conversion of the natives was one of the primary goals. At least if you ever read the histories of Queen Isabel, that was one of the primary goals of exploration with Christopher Columbus and things like this. And part of the reason why Christopher Columbus was imprisoned by the Queen because of his mistreatment of the Indians. Although the kings maintained the rights of indigenous populations in North America far better than after the Revolution, and then all of these poor natives were suddenly corralled into reservations by the newly formed federal government in Philadelphia. So you see that even in something as degenerated as the English monarchs of the 18th century, they at least understood a transcendent view of colonialism far better than their subsequent heirs and descendants in the 19th century.
I was going to change this topic a little bit. There were some slight historical discrepancies in the film. So, for example, the person who Father Gabriel is based on was actually killed by tribals himself. Yeah, and the Guarani War did happen. The Battle of Mabora did happen. The Treaty of Madrid obviously did happen. Suppression of the Jesuits did happen.
Yes.
Etc., etc. So it is surprisingly there, although the ending was the most embellished part. However, the ending was the most efficacious.
Yes, I mean, we could obviously take it outside of its historical context.
Of course.
To just look at this as a mythic story.
I mean, it is.
Yes.
It touches upon the perennial themes. It touches upon the immortal, of obedience, of honor, of courage, of bravery, of heroism.
Mm-hmm.
It touches upon these things, and it's a vehicle for these ideals, in spite of its historical accuracy or otherwise. Rather, it was irrelevant. I did find it interesting that it did start with a priest latched onto a wooden crucifix falling down the
Yes, they
waterfall.
Killed him. Yeah, the tribespeople killed him.
Yeah, obviously wasn't very good at playing the oboe.
Maybe he just didn't know the right tunes.
No, of course not.
And of course, the soundtrack is amazing.
I did pick up on it. It's interesting. There are different themes for the different people. There's a Spanish theme, there's a Guarani theme, and the theme for the Jesuits is a combination of the two, which I found quite interesting.
That's actually very nice. I didn't know that. Ennio Morricone, the composer, just very, very pitch perfect. It was pitch perfect of a soundtrack for this film.
Well, he is Italian, so he knows what he's doing.
Any other comments about the film?
I think it's a better film than Zulu because it focuses on the reality of persons and of the transcendental. It doesn't try to squeeze blood from a stone, from a political stone, like Zulu does. Zulu tries to squeeze out all the little bits of bravery and heroism and courage and suffering and honesty, and it does do a very good job of that, in my opinion. But the actual subject matter itself taints it, and the general direction and kind of meta-narrative of the story is what leaves one wanting, as we discussed. Whereas with the mission, everything's there.
Yes.
This stone, conversely, is very, very juicy. I don't think stones can be juicy, but you see what I mean.
Stones can be juicy. Adam Wallace, 2017. That's...
I'm not going to say that again. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I do.
It wraps together the political and the action and the spiritual and the metaphysical. It wraps it all together into one package where all of these things actually have a proper relationship with each other, and that relationship is expressed properly and clearly, reaching, obviously, as we said 4 times, the crescendo right at the end.
Right. I was going to say about this film in comparison to Zulu, I can totally understand a lot of why there would be patriotic zeal that would go into watching Zulu. And the thing is that even if I imagined the situation to be reversed, like if I imagined it was my people in a victorious situation, The whole point would be the actions would be in a context that would not be my true tribal identity. Because my true tribal identity is justice and righteousness. And so that's what I saw more in the mission rather than in Zulu. What I would like to posit is that people who appreciate Zulu without any other consideration for the vertical element that's behind it, or the vertical dimension that it's situated in, are simply only those who are stuck in a kind of materialism. Because if they can't understand that this was a situation brought about by greed, how would you describe it, Adam? Because do you see what I'm trying to say?
Oh, I understand totally. In the mission, you saw an alignment vertically and a brotherhood vertically, whereas in Zulu, there was more, it was ethnic and political, primarily.
Yes.
Heroism was there in Zulu, and it was on both sides, really, heroism, just to some extent. But the main framing and the main meta-narrative of the story there is ethnic and political.
Yes.
Whereas in the mission, it is fundamentally metaphysical and spiritual.
Exactly.
And it's interesting, right at the end, again at the end, after Gabriel goes down, one of the tribesmen picks up what he was carrying.
The monstrance, yes, with the
The
Blessed
monstrance.
Sacrament.
And he keeps going, and they all keep going. And that little moment right at the end there, you know, they were united in spirit and in virtue. They weren't united through equality or some modern perversion, but through something immortal and transcendent. Just like how a traditional empire unites the various regions and kingdoms within it, and unites them in a superior and what Evola would say Uranian chrism.
Mm-hmm.
The same idea is felt there at the end of the mission, and there are no such moments in Zulu.
Unfortunately, no.
Unfortunately, not no.
Because that empire was not at all transcendent.
Whereas the Jesuits represent and work for the kingdom of God, of course.
Right. And that's the tragedy, because I would love to enjoy a nationalist film, but nationalism by itself, I forgot what it was, that Evola quote that you posted a while back about how...
It was about race.
Yes. Do you remember?
I remember the one you're talking about.
We repeat, race is secondary, spirit and tradition the primary factor, because in a metaphysical sense, race dwells in the spirit before being expressed in the blood. If it is true that without racial purity, spirit and tradition are deprived of their most precious means of expression, then it is also true that pure race deprived of spirit is condemned to be a biological mechanism and, in the end, doomed to extinction. And that's kind of the tragedy that I saw in Zulu. That we had this wonderful heroism, but to what spiritual or traditional purpose? Because a mercantile empire is not at all traditional.
No, it is quite the opposite. I definitely feel that the hunger I still felt after Zulu has been sated by the mission.
Did you get teary-eyed at any point?
Almost. I actually didn't with the mission.
Almost.
I stared with a cold, introverted intensity. No, I was very moved. I did feel emotionally moved. I wasn't crying like I did with Calvary. I think a bit more because with Calvary it's more centered around Father James.
Yes. It was
And
much
him
more personal
and
with him.
yeah, it is much more personal and relatable on a day-to-day experience, you know. Whereas the mission is very extreme and very ideal in a way.
Yes, this was much more of a mythical.
It was. I mean, again, just to go back to it, when Father Gabriel first climbs up the side of the waterfall, I mean, what a man, as you said at the time. I mean, it's incredible. As you watch this monk ascend. Oh, it's wonderful. But it's far more, it's a slightly detached from ordinary experience. Mm-hmm. But it needn't be, in a way. And the fact that it is detached from ordinary experience in today's age is one of the tragedies, of course.
I wanted to ask you really quick, what did you think of Rodrigo's penance? Because obviously modern people would say, oh, that's medieval. Or that, you know, even Protestants themselves would look at that and think that that was completely useless. You're either saved or you're not. Just accept Jesus. You know, why do you need confession? Why do you need penance?
He's trying to make up for the evil he's done in and unto himself. Mm-hmm. He's not shifting anything outside of himself. He feels guilty for what he's done and he hates himself. That's why before Father Gabriel meets him and he speaks with one of the people outside of the cell, he says... Father Gabriel is told that Rodrigo might want to die. His focus originally is not focused on God. It's not God and his soul. Mm-hmm. But it's his health, is his own self and his true self, which is the divine, in a way.
Yeah.
His true self, his immortal self.
Yeah.
And that is what Gabriel wants him to understand. He lets Rodrigo set the rules for the penance because Rodrigo is self-loathing in that moment. He is self-hating, and so he wishes for himself to suffer, but he overcomes it. And he overcomes his own flawed self. He overcomes his flawed nature to a very large extent. He is birthed anew by the time he reaches the top of the waterfall.
And if you look at the method of punishment or penance that he gave himself to carry all of his worldly possessions as a weight, it was just very, very efficacious. Because that's exactly what he was doing. He was letting all of his worldly attachments pull him down.
Yes, his ego, how he looked to other people.
Exactly. His profession as a slave trader, all the things that he bought with his profit.
All of these transitory things he carried with him until the top, where they were released through mercy.
Exactly.
It's wonderful how you have all these little things.
Yeah, and we don't see that anymore these days. We don't see the idea of doing penance, the idea of meditating on one's punishment, meditating on one's penance as a means of purification is really lost in the modern world.
Yeah, because most of the time when people are self-loathing, it comes from a place of gravity and of despair.
Mm-hmm.
And Rodrigo felt that, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But then he transformed that into something higher.
Right.
He put its work into the furnace of suffering and of struggle, and he came out the other end all the purer for it.
Right. He literally put it all higher by climbing the mountain.
Yes, literally and metaphorically.
Exactly. He harmonized the two.
Indeed.
And that is part of any good penance, in that it teaches us spiritual discipline during all of this material discipline.
Yeah. There has to be that synthesis. There has to be that unity, if you like. He did bad things inwardly and outwardly, and then these things were balanced, and he was brought to the light. And then he obviously became a Jesuit, which was nice for a while until, of course, he broke his vows. One could have seen coming to some extent. I expected him to lash out, for example, at the Spanish fellow.
Oh, Don Cabeza, yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't, which is good. I was proud of him, you know.
You know, I'm not actually sure if because I looked up the IMDb, and Don Cabeza, I don't know if Cabeza is actually his name, because the heads of these colonial principalities would sometimes be known as Cabeza, because Cabeza means head. And I remember that because one of my ancestors was a particular Cabeza, and so he was a colonial head as well. Anyway, that concludes my comments. Was there anything else?
No, I don't have anything else to add. I don't think everything that has needed to be said has been said.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Adam. And of course, the ball is now in your court for the next movie.
Bollocks. Yes.
Are you just dreading it? Is that?
I just don't know. I'll figure it out. Something. I'll imagine something to do.
All right. Well, I'll wish you a good night, Adam.
Right. You too, man.
Hello.
Hello, Anthony.
Hello.
Hello, Tim.
Greetings.
So, tonight...
Did you have anything in mind?
Well, actually, Anthony, I wanted to ask you in particular, since I bet you have some recommendations or movies that you... Because it doesn't even matter if it's a bad movie. What did you say?
Pigs!
Pigs, no. That... Apparently, that's a good movie. But anything campy or funny or bad, or you know what I'm saying?
You want to watch the final episode of Lost?
Ha! That's just no.
It was all of those.
It was too much of bad. Or another horror movie. It doesn't matter. I love watching horror movies.
Oh, speaking of campy, how about the 1966 Batman movie?
Oh! Oh my gosh.
Are you serious?
Yes, where the actual sharks are worse than the sharks in Jaws. It's like, they're like inflatable dolls, but they're pretending like they're actually real sharks.
And he uses the bat shark repellent on them.
Gosh.
Right!
They reference that in the Lego Batman movie.
Really?
They have bat shark repellent in it.
Wow.
Pretty hilarious.
Wow.
So have you actually seen the Lego Batman movie?
Yeah,
Is
a
it
couple
good?
weeks ago. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
You know, Tim,
I think you would have enjoyed Logan if you had watched it.
Logan? Is that what
Yes.
you watched last week?
No, that's what I watched the other day, and Anthony's watched it also.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the Wolverine, but he's old and tired.
And dying.
What did you call it, Anthony, that I thought was just so clever?
No Country for Old X-Men.
Yes!
Wow.
Because
Yeah!
it has kind of a Western feel to it too,
Yeah, it does.
and like
It's
that
really
focuses
good.
a lot on like death and pain.
Yeah, and I really liked it.
Oh, batteries not included.
I actually haven't seen that one.
What is this? 1987?
It's perfect.
What were you, like,
Yes, I was 10.
10? Yeah.
Yes.
What is this
You were 10
movie
in
about?
1987?
Yes.
I wasn't even born yet.
I know. Lots of people weren't.
This is true, Tim. After their apartment building is bought by an unscrupulous developer, an older couple faces eviction until tiny robotic aliens arrive to help.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Are you that excited about it, Tim?
Well, it's very nostalgic for me. This is one of my family's favorite movies to watch.
Oh, your family.
I haven't even thought of it in like 15 years. I mean, it meets your requirements. Like, it's campy, it's funny. You know, it's got, you know, a nice
It looks
hallmark.
charming,
You know,
actually.
1980s. It is charming. It's a charming movie. Yes.
So it's like Babe.
Exactly.
Oh, great.
I don't know. It's like a
That'll be the thing. Every week now, Anthony recommends Babe. I recommend Batteries Not Included, and we don't watch it until season 6. It'll be the special 100th episode.
there you go. Right? Good grief.
Dang you, Jane.
Curse you and your standards. I'm not in the Babe mood. I want to be offended or scared.
You want to be offended.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's watch a Nicolas Cage movie.
Yes,
Oh,
we're
The
not-
Trust.
The Trust? Another Nick
This
Cage movie.
Looks like something I could make fun of.
Oh my gosh, Netflix thinks I would give it 1.1 stars.
It thinks I'd give it 1.5 stars. Where are you getting the point
thinks-
1 from? Mine just shows like
It
it's
doesn't
like part red.
the red doesn't go halfway for me. Just like
So
tiny-
you're estimating 0.1. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that was just so specific. I thought maybe you had a secret extension in your browser that decoded Netflix.
It thinks I would give it 3.
wow. Then again, you know, you're married to Nick Cage, so you have to like
That's
give it
true.
an extra 2.
Cage, it's got a Hobbit in it.
It's-
It's we can have a lot of fun with this. I'm
so
sure.
it's Anthony's husband and one of Tim's relatives in this
wow.
movie. Remember you were a paladin hobbit at the murder mystery
was?
party?
I was a paladin hobbit.
And you like
No,
would
I was
not...
a paladin named Hobbit.
You,
Yes.
No, you desired to be a hobbit because you refused to be called a halfling.
I mean, yes, I wouldn't like it if people called me a halfling.
I loved your furry feet, by the way. That was like one of the
Yes,
best
that's
parts
correct.
Of your costume.
I cut a wig in half, and I
Anthony,
take.
You
I did.
love these murder mystery parties because the costumes that we put on are like some of the best, just homemade ever.
Oh, up
These-
north?
Yeah, you need to just come along sometime. And
It's a short drive for you.
Short.
Hopefully next time.
Midnight in
Boise as long
Paris
as I-
is trending. Remember we watched that on the plane, Anthony?
Oh yeah, good movie.
Midnight in Paris was a very good movie. Thank you for showing me that movie, by the way.
Oh, The
Of course.
Outcast. This looks horrible. This would be good.
Is this another Nick Cage movie? Are you just
Yes, you
looking?
said Nick Cage.
For frack's sake.
I'm on titles related with titles with Nick Cage. That's where I'm at.
He's dressed like a
He goes to China or something? What?
Yeah, he's doing cosplay right there. You can see it.
He's doing.
he's just like a crusader.
He's a crusader in China.
Yes.
Oh
Apparently.
my god! Wow.
I kind of want to watch this.
I kind of also want to watch it. 2014. Why did I never hear of this?
Oh, and it has Anakin in it. Hayden Christensen.
Outcast. I don't know. I
I vote
know.
yes.
Yes.
This action thriller features Academy Award winner Nicolas Cage. What? What did he win an Academy Award? Was it for adaptation?
No, it was Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas. I've never heard of that. Really? What did he win for that?
Academy Award.
What? Does he commit suicide in that movie? It's like a really dramatic. He's depressed and.
Best actor? What? In 1996, Nicolas Cage was the best actor? Really?
Mm-hmm. It's actually a pretty good movie. Very sad.
Oh, Outcast. Am I gonna regret this?
Probably. Isn't that what you want for tonight?
Okay, let's put this at the top of the list for now. Why am I really in the mood for a horror movie right now? What are some top recommendations, Anthony, for horror movies?
Let me Google some. Let me see. Ouija Origin of Evil is good enough to watch.
I think we found our movie. Remember when movies used to take forever to download?
I remember in order to watch movies, we had to drive to the video store, pick up the VHS tape, and they charged us $2 if we didn't rewind it when we gave it back.
Wow. $2?
My grandparents own a old video rental store. Well, it was a video rental pizza place, but like over the past few years, it slowly transitioned into just a pizza place.
Makes sense.
After rental slowly died out. Did you see Ex Machina, James?
Yeah, we watched it on the plane, remember?
Oh, that's right.
With Alicia Eye Candy, yeah. I only liked her in the Jason Bourne movie, though. But
I like her performance. Too robotic.
Well, exactly. Origin of Evil.
So keep in mind too, this is a light recommendation from me. I'm not expecting you guys to like fall in love with this movie or.
Well, we were in the mood for something bad, but still well known. You know, one thing that I really liked about Logan was that
Merman.
What? Tim?
Merman?
Tim,
One thing that I really like about Merman.
I think you're lagging, Tim. I'm talking about the movie Logan, which Anthony and I recently watched.
Oh.
But I think one thing I liked about it was that the kind of inconsistencies or things that don't really make sense to me were very secondary things compared to the drama. And so I kind of forgot and forgave all the inconsistencies.
Like the juice he has to inject himself with?
The juice, the bullet. What was it in the one X-Men movie? He was like almost completely disintegrated or something, but he was still okay.
Oh, didn't a nuke go off?
It's like...
That he survived?
Yeah.
They established though that, I guess, adamantium hurts him.
And then when they showed Laura cutting herself, I just very sad about that. I think you'd like it, Tim. It's a good movie.
Is it called Logan's Run?
No. It's just called Logan, it's out. But it's a good movie because it's about a dad and a grandpa of sorts. And their crazy pale uncle.
Are they pale too?
Yeah, everybody's pale. Well, except for the kid, I guess. People wouldn't consider her pale.
Gremlins, James.
Yeah.
What's the Gremlins?
That'll be for like a Christmas special or something, you know?
Yeah.
When we're feeling cozy and want to watch a cozy movie.
Oh, I'm feeling so nostalgic.
A movie that I watch over and over again that's like nostalgia factor times 10 is Tremors. I just really love that.
Tremors?
Good movie.
Yeah, Tremors with Kevin Bacon.
Seen it.
You've never seen it, Tim?
No.
Maybe when...
Is it about earthquake?
You might very well think that.
Hey, I heard there's a new series that's even more hardcore than House of Cards.
Tell me.
That's all I know.
Thanks, Tim!
It's out there somewhere.
Yeah! Somewhere out there is a thing, you know, that you watch. It exists.
I thought you would know about it, or something.
Is it a political thriller?
Once upon a time, there was a thing.
I think it's the same guy.
Man, my upstairs neighbor is like making a lot of noise.
Are they copulating?
No, it sounds like it's stomping.
Again, are they copulating?
Could be.
Maybe they're trying to kill cockroach.
Maybe lots of... Hey, didn't we just watch a movie where someone fell through the roof?
Oh, a bomb fell through the roof.
Right, a missile. Yeah.
Maybe there's a djinn upstairs.
Anthony, just start putting tape all over the place.
Supposedly this building I live in is haunted.
No.
Mm-hmm.
By what?
The building itself is an old hotel that was built in like 1900.
Yeah.
It's like over 100 years old.
And people died there?
Supposedly.
Well, then again, in 100-year history, it's a little bit unlikely that everybody that stayed there survived.
Man, what are they doing up there?
What does it sound like?
It's not rhythmic at all. It's very it's not that. It's like someone sitting in a chair, like stomping the ground.
Maybe they're tied up and trying to get your attention.
I should go investigate.
You should, and then just don't die, Anthony, please.
It's stopped for now. I can hear them like walking.
Communications established and green.
Spooling up. Green.
3, 2, 1, go.
Let's begin. We invite you into our circle. If that's you, give us a sign.
This is a scam.
We do not attack the clients.
We help people. We give them closure.
You are so weird.
Does she have a lot of problems?
It's nothing too concerning.
What's this?
A Ouija board for work.
Spirit, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Who are you talking to?
What? Daddy. Are you there? Who are you? Your sister's taking you to school today. I don't want to go! I want to stay here and talk to my friends.
What friends?
I'll show you. Are you here?
Something is happening that we can't understand.
I'm concerned about your girl.
What's this about, Father?
What are you doing? I'm not doing it.
The spirit world is dangerous.
They were watching us all those years.
By using the board, you've opened up a portal.
Want to hear something cool?
Sure.
Do you know what it feels like to be strangled to death? First, you feel the pressure in your throat. And you start to taste something very sour in your mouth. Then, it's like someone lights a match right in the middle of your chest. And that fire grows. It fills your lungs and your throat and all the way behind your eyes. And the last thing you feel is cold. Good night, Romeo.
It's just a game.
Isn't this
I love when
the
movies
old-
do these old-fashioned logos.
That's really old-fashioned.
I remember when that first came out.
Mary, we invite you into our circle.
Quite contrary.
Ask 3 questions. Why just 3?
She's like rolling
Oh,
her
you paid
eyes.
for it.
Answer is no.
I would have paid like $5 if she looked at the camera like in The Office.
Ask your questions. The pain she felt before she passed. She's saying it was an illness, cancer.
This is
Young,
called
young,
cold
beautiful.
bleeding.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
When the medium gets scared, that's scary.
Yeah, she used to wear one of those shirts that's like, if you see me running, run also. So this is supposed to be set in like the 60s or something?
So it looks like.
Was this when you were born, Tim?
Yes! Well done. No, it wasn't.
It cost us $5.
$5?
Let me see that.
That's like $100 in 1960.
Something to latch on.
Oh, sneaking out of the house. The doll! The doll is gonna eat their faces.
Wow. You and the dolls, Tim.
There's a doll in every horror movie.
The stomping is still going on, by the way.
Really?
Wow.
That's kind of scary.
Maybe they're dancing.
Wait, isn't it like 10 o'clock?
Could be.
Don't you have a landlord that you could tell?
It's not bothering me that much, but if it continues, I might go investigate after the movie.
A Ouija board! Ouija knows all the answers.
Will Lena come to homecoming with me?
Smooth. Very smooth.
Stop it, Ellie. It's the spirit. It's no spirit.
Wait, was that your neighbors?
Did you hear that upstairs?
Yes, I did.
That was pretty loud. Yeah, that stomping.
You know what? Let's pause really quick.
I thought that was the sign.
Me too, actually. Let's pause. Everybody pause. Anthony, it might be good to actually call your landlord. I mean, is there somebody in the building that watches the building or something?
Is a maintenance guy.
Because what if something's going on up there, and I don't want you to die because I want to watch the rest of this movie?
I'm glad you're looking out for my safety.
Yeah, well, I am.
I feel like my upstairs neighbor, though, is like a guy my age, I think.
And that makes it better how?
That's true.
What if it's like the rope keeps breaking?
The rope keeps breaking. Yes, because the first thud, okay, is when the chair is being kicked over. And
Right.
the heavier thud was when the rope broke. And then the third thud is he's putting the chair back up.
You know, that's why it's good to check these things out.
Okay, Anthony, I do agree. I sanction you need...
I want to investigate.
Okay, but you should investigate prudently. Because this isn't a TV show where you're going to be okay because you're the main character. Okay? Like, something could really be happening. So bring
I
someone
feel like
with
it's
you.
unlikely.
Okay, just...
It is unlikely.
It is
And
unlikely.
be careful.
But I would be negligent if I didn't mention caution.
James likes to scare people and hedges bets.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Wait, let me look up the
Report.
maintenance guy.
You're not on any good terms with any of your other neighbors?
All the neighbors on this floor are old.
What if they're all up there, like, eating him?
Doing some sort of ritual.
It seems unlikely.
Yeah, until you start seeing the blood drip through the ceiling.
Okay,
Wow.
so apparently
Did
there's
you
an
hear
actual...
that? Did you hear that? Wait, oh, stop. That was really loud.
Anthony, call up the guy right now.
Central office phone. Is that who I want?
Do you guys have a lobby in that place?
I think there might be one on the second floor, but I doubt there'd be anyone in there at this time. I almost just want to go listen outside his door.
He's upstairs, right?
Yeah.
Bring your phone with you.
Oh, did you hear that?
I did.
Jesus.
Okay, Anthony,
That was...
this is getting really freaky, actually.
I'm going up there.
Wait, Anthony, you've always been a cool person.
Say your final things to me now before I go up
Okay,
there.
seriously, get out a little... No, say it on record right now because I'm recording. That, can I please have your globe thing?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you can have my globe.
Yes! I promise you.
And my chess set from
From
Czechoslovakia.
Prague.
In that case, hurry.
So here's my plan.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go up there, listen outside his door. If I don't hear like a bunch of voices, maybe he's having like a party or something. But if I don't hear screaming, I probably won't even bother knocking.
Just bring your phone and bring a weapon.
Yep. Okay. I'll be back.
Okay.
Good. Maybe we'll be able to hear something.
What if we hear Anthony screaming? Okay, like the worst possible thing that could happen, right? Is we're still talking, we hear Anthony screaming, and then we hear like shuffling, and then we hear somebody approaching Anthony's computer,
Wow.
and he turns on the video.
Oh no.
And Anthony's just sitting on the chair with his head lowered.
Wow.
And we see something a little bit behind him.
And then we hear something on our roof.
This is it. This is it. Get your holy water out.
I would actually
here it
be
is.
climbing.
Is it gonna be Anthony or okay? It's gonna be Anthony.
I made it back alive.
Yeah, what happened? What happened?
Good.
It's some sort of party.
Oh,
It sounded like they were playing charades or something.
no one.
Uh,
Was it demonic charades?
This building is like really old, so like it's easy to hear
I see.
my neighbors sometimes.
We were just speculating that what would happen if we heard you like screaming, and then we hear shuffling coming towards the computer, and then your webcam activates, and you're just
Which would be the strangest thing since I don't have a webcam on this computer.
and you just be sitting there on the chair with
Ooh,
your head down.
That's disturbing.
And then Tim said...
And then we both simultaneously hear knocking on our roofs.
Yes. And then as Tim and I are both looking upwards...
Wait, do you guys have upstairs in your places?
I have a little attic area.
I do.
Up there. Yeah. But, so it'd be the attic, which would be scary. And then, but while Tim and I are like looking up, we don't see that you are actually slowly pulling your head up to look at us. This is going to be a fun episode to upload, by the way.
The scariest thing that happened was charades.
Demonic charades.
We should record an alternate version of this where, like, I don't come back. And that whole scenario kind of plays out.
We should.
They were just playing a stupid game. I can smell your breath.
You got coffee on it.
I know how hard it's been for you, and I understand how you feel.
We only drink vitamin water in this house.
This is Xander. I'm Mikey.
What's his name, Mikey?
Yeah. He eats anything.
She's going to read his palm by shaking his hand.
To go? Not
Wow.
quite.
If you hurt my daughter, I will literally suck your soul with a straw.
Beautiful, huh?
This is your headline. This is your lifeline.
Oh, she is reading his
This
palm.
is your heartline. I'll tell you this for sure. If this hand, or any other hand for that matter, touches my daughter
I
in a
told
way I
you.
don't like, hate to see something happen to your lifeline.
I totally called it.
Off you go.
Thanks, bitch.
Oh, that looks great. That costs like 10 cents.
That's like a week's wage in the 60s.
You know why people say mean things, right?
Why?
Because they're assholes.
Because they're scared. Makes me kind of feel sorry for them. How about you?
Yeah,
Good.
I feel bad for them.
Have a healthy disdain for the lower classes.
All right, off you go. I'll be right there. Is there a presence here with us?
Hey, lady, you're not supposed to play it alone. To
Right,
remember
well,
the
she's not
rules.
playing.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Oh,
What is your name?
you idiot!
Marcus.
Oh, no.
No.
You're not
See?
supposed to
The
play
dolls.
it alone.
Wasn't there a doll in the last horror movie we watched?
Yeah.
My new friend.
Oh, no.
Who's your new friend?
His name's Beelzebub.
Wow.
I didn't do it.
I let her use my hand.
Wow.
She's in a dark place now, Rachel. I don't know if I like the actress that they cast for the little girl. It's like, she's acting a little bit too obvious.
No one's going to want to buy that house after this movie's over.
Our house.
In the middle of the street.
This is where
Aw.
he wanted us to live.
You should have bought life insurance then.
If
Wow.
there's any part of him left.
Here you go.
I found cash in the walls.
What's
What?
this?
What? What is this movie? You heard
How did
me.
you know that, James?
You heard me. I was making a
I heard you
joke,
say I found...
and she literally opened up a pouch
It's over here.
of money.
You're ahead.
No, I'm not. When she was walking forward, I was like, oh, I found money in the walls.
Where were you when I told you?
At the strip club. S? Is it really going to be the strip club? Oh, okay, S-H. I was at the shithole.
Shopping.
Ah,
Shoe store.
Showgirls?
Showing a house.
Shower. Oh my gosh, are you going to look through it? Oh no. Okay, it's time. Time to curl up with the pillow.
I just don't think that movie is going to do this.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, did you see it?
Yeah.
She's not sick.
She's possessed.
She and my mom have been working.
What do you mean?
The
Let's see if we
Inquisition.
can't reach her phone.
What a show.
What do you want to tell him?
It's going to be like a giant beetle on the back of the neck.
Oh no. Alright, here it comes, gentlemen. Here it is. We've been
It's
waiting.
going to be like the jump scare that never came.
The babe scare.
Oh, it's her head about to pop off. You know, they haven't said goodbye at all.
I know, right?
Breaking all the rules.
What if the house is like on top of a graveyard?
Yeah, right?
Okay.
Whoa.
Oh. Okay. That wasn't scary to me.
No, me neither.
CGI monsters don't scare you? No. No, I agree.
This movie made in the 60s, too?
I'm like 60% less scared of this movie now. Oh my gosh!
Oh, that actually is kind of scary.
Yeah.
spiders are gonna crawl into her ears. Now
That
it's
was
just a girl.
probably my least favorite scene in the movie, when it showed the monster like that.
You know, so far.
Well, overall, yeah.
We're gonna get another.
Oh, this is why I never close my shower curtain.
Right? Did you just hate bathroom mirrors? Blood?
Ew.
What is that? Is she pulling her skin off?
Oh.
That's not scary at all. No.
You would be scared if it was happening to you.
Well, yes, fine. I guess.
Bit of a cliche there.
It is.
No.
This
not
girl
scared
doesn't
so
even
far.
scare me.
No, she doesn't. She just looks lost.
And usually the creepy children are the creepiest, and they
Right?
scare me a lot.
I'm not scared of this little girl. Who did the casting for this movie?
It's like she's wearing a bathrobe.
Right?
Oh, she's going on a date.
I know. Go.
It's
Oh,
I
no,
was-
okay.
Honestly, I was going to say it's the priest, but I thought
Sorry,
no.
I'm late.
Oh, no, not at all, please.
I was literally going to say it's going to be the
you could use
priest.
the night
I
away
didn't
from
think
cooking.
I'd be right.
Absolutely right.
You were right.
But the spirit world
She
is
dressed up like that
dangerous.
to go out with the
Nothing
priest.
I do. It's not dangerous. It's good.
Who wears a bathrobe to a fancy restaurant?
I wish you'd let me show you.
My mom's gonna be home soon.
So we better hurry.
Right?
Romeo and Juliet.
Or like Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, come on.
For us.
Didn't they die, Bonnie and Clyde? I mean,
They
Yeah.
did, yeah.
Well, so did Romeo and Juliet, to be fair.
They were gunned down by the police.
How very chaste for the 1960s.
Want to hear something cool?
Oh no.
Sure.
Do you know what it feels like to be strangled to death?
Oh, come on, kid.
Wow.
You feel the pressure in your throat. You start to taste the very, very sour in your mouth. Then,
And then you feel how crappy this
then
movie is.
finally, that tired, like pins and needles of ice are sticking into your fingers, your toes, your arms.
And then the writers just give up.
You see stars, then darkness.
See, this kid just doesn't convince me with her acting. See, that smile doesn't scare me at all.
Too fake.
Yeah. Doris. Oh gosh, Doris.
It's like a 1940s name.
Right? I'm like leaning forward into the screen now because I don't feel scared.
Look at the writing.
How many
Oh,
times
what is
have
it,
we
in
been...
Latin?
It's in Aramaic.
Oh.
It's in
I
Chinese.
don't
Oh.
know how to ask you.
Yeah, there. Yeah, good, Anthony. Good.
I believe Sister Hannah came here from Poland during the war. I can
Sister Hannah Montana.
ask her to look at them.
Looks like they were something.
They were recipes.
For Soylent.
Your sister knows how to make the best pierogies ever.
What if there was a pizza on top of that roof?
I was hoping I
Father
could
was a
take you
meth
up on
dealer.
What should we call it? Breaking bread?
Surprise.
So what did he ask?
What's your middle name?
What? Lydia?
Lynn,
Oh, Lynn.
is that right?
That's my sister's middle name.
Remarkable.
Ah, her middle name's Remarkable.
You forgive me? For what?
For killing me.
Strangling me.
F.I. for the fight?
How old are you now, Doris?
9.
9.
100,000.
Practically a young lady.
Okay. That was kind of freaky, but then it just didn't turn into anything.
You really don't like that actress, do you?
And then it gave me a little bit of a chill, but then it's like, what are you gonna do?
Actually,
Oh, come on, you
He
idiot.
recognized one of the doctors.
He doesn't know he's in a horror movie.
I would not reach my hand into a cellar wall.
Not even if there were jewels on the other side?
Brought him to his house.
Nazi jewels?
Like, why have this conversation in this house? What I would have done is I would have carted off the family to a local church and dumped
Yes.
enough holy water to disintegrate the child.
Why are there never lights on?
Just light a match. Leave her there.
Light a match. Dump all of the gasoline. Oh, it's like a party going on, playing
Wait,
charades.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Boyfriend and the girl are playing charades.
wow.
That's it. That's gotta be it.
Got her? Get her outside?
Oh my gosh! Because we were just talking about this. So that's where all the banging came from.
Look at me.
Hey, that was a good jump scare.
No, it Was it? Because no, we kind of half ruined it. You know, we were talking about the hanging earlier.
But if we're going down there, we're burning that thing in the furnace.
Oh, good.
Burning that thing in the furnace? That's like what a Nazi doctor would do to stuff, okay?
If you're talking about the Ouija board, not the girl.
Oh, I'm not scared by this movie at all.
Nazi ghosts don't scare you?
Oh, come on.
Alright, it was a human skull in your wall.
Yes, I guess. Okay, we're gonna put salt on all the bodies. Played in the
That's right.
graveyard.
Goodbye.
You played alone.
Oh,
They didn't say goodbye. That's how they banish it, right? They just have to say
yeah.
goodbye. And at least
Yeah, they're gonna click their heels 3 times and say goodbye.
I think the priest is gonna die.
Yeah.
Oh, he's dead. He's like so dead.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Father. What a disappointment this movie has been so far. Secret Nazi chamber.
Oh. Wow.
Didn't American Horror Story do this? Season 1?
Do what? I haven't watched that.
There's a haunted house and there's a Nazi doctor in the basement. Or like the ghost of a Nazi doctor.
Oh, look. It's Nazi doctor tools.
That's where we died.
James, when are we going to write a horror movie?
Right?
Or another horror movie, I should say.
Well, I guess we would make a distinction between, like, jump scare horror movies and Lovecraftian horror movies.
There was a little girl crawling on the walls. That didn't scare you?
It scared me just a
The
tiny
Ouija
bit.
board's back.
Oh, it did.
It is. They
come back.
burned it. You're right. I forgot that they burned it. Burn it in a fire.
Okay. Oh, what the frick? Are you? You're kidding me. Okay.
Do what the mom did in the last movie and kick her in the face down the stairs.
Right? Yes. Yes. Kick her in the face.
We'll take all of you.
I'd be happy if the movie ended right here. Okay, that was like no. I mean, I'm trying
No.
here, but I just come on. Like I'm just like leaning forward, looking at the screen. What is that?
It's her dad.
Oh, Dad's gonna come help them. I called that too.
She's not gonna help the boyfriend.
The dad helped with that one.
She should just use tape.
Right?
Duct tape her mouth.
She wasn't even doing it right. Who sews like that?
I know, right? You could have done that the whole time, lady?
Hey, she dislocated her wrist.
One last scare from this daughter. Everybody dies tonight.
What did she say?
Everybody's waiting.
They're above me? Oh, everybody's waiting. Except for your boyfriend.
Lena, where did you go just now?
I went to a bad movie idea.
I feel like they were trying to go for a twist here, like she killed everyone, but then they changed their minds.
Yeah. What did she do? Oh,
Is this the same people that wrote Lost?
Wait, there's still more of this movie?
This is like the last scene.
Oh, come on. Oh, hello.
Ah, that actually scared me.
Yeah,
I
me
didn't
too.
expect that. Finally.
Oh! Okay.
I wonder if there's a secret scene at the end.
If it's the doctor walking on the ceiling, I don't want to see it.
What did you guys think?
Yay! It was everything you wanted, James.
Exactly.
I really wanted to be scared tonight, but I wasn't.
I thought the girl was freaky.
Really?
How her eyes would go white and she would like whisper into people's ears.
I liked the glowy eyes when she was running on the ceiling.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That was good.
But that was it. That was like the only scary part.
I think the game of charades was the scariest thing all night.
I was not impressed.
The acting was bad. The pacing was bad. You know, like I could even have gotten away with the acting if it wasn't for the pacing.
I don't know about the well, what do you mean by pacing? Because I thought
I don't know.
I'm just throwing out
like...
words.
I heard other reviewers say those words, and people agreed. So I just say them.
This is just a word that reviewers say. What a great shot! The pacing's all wrong.
Right? What I mean is, I felt like as I was watching a scene, It's like, okay, I get it. Wait, you're still doing this scene? Mother being emotional as she's laying there dying or something like this. It's like, okay, move on.
I thought the pacing for me was fine, but there was just no payoff. If they had, like, real scares at those moments...
They didn't know how to end it, was the big issue I had with it.
Yes.
Yeah, like, they tried 3 or 4 different times.
Right?
That and, like, yeah, it's like they tried to do too much. Because it started with a Ouija board, and then it turns into a demon, and then it becomes about this Nazi doctor that was in the basement that's possessing the little girl.
No, it wasn't the doctor, it was the victims of the doctor.
Oh, yeah, and then it turns out it was the victims of the doctor who were, I don't know, they were trying to do too much. They didn't really know how to focus it.
And it's like, we shut up the victims of the doctor, but then the little demons showed up again. It's as if they thought we would end the movie here, but then they realized they still had another 20 minutes worth of budget, and so they packed in like 5 different ending scenes. Because it could have ended like 5 times that whole thing.
And then, of course, they show the sister at the insane asylum.
Yes.
You know, it's like the writer wrote something, and then the director or producer or whatever showed it to like 5 or 6 of his friends, and they all had ideas, and he wanted to put all 5 or 6 of those ideas in there.
Exactly.
And the writer decided to take his name off of it.
Yeah.
It felt like it was rewritten a few times.
See, I felt like it wasn't rewritten. I feel like it was just, you know what, let's do this something else, but hey, we don't need to actually overwrite the other one. We actually need to rewrite the other thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. They just kept adding stuff in.
Yeah.
What if the girl had long hair? Maybe we should have made the girl have long hair. That would have changed the whole movie.
I would have been much more scared. Because she had, like, beautiful hair that curled upwards. How scared could I be? And I think that's why the ending scene really scared me, because her hair was all up when she was upside down.
Oh, right, yeah. I kind of wish we'd just given up on it and made fun of it, like, fully the whole time. I was still hoping for something.
Me too. I was really hoping that it would just start picking up.
I think part of the reason it was more difficult to make fun of it was because it felt like it was made in a competent way.
Yes!
Like it wasn't like just a cheap horror movie.
Right.
Yeah.
But then it ended up being a cheap horror movie. Writing. Anthony, what else do you have to say about this movie?
I liked a lot of the little details here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Like starting with classic Universal logo and like having those little dots in the upper right-hand corner that film would have in theaters.
Wait, was this produced in recently?
Yeah, it was made last year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So they've had examples of good horror movies to like build off of. They like should know what a good one looks like.
Right.
But I also like the stuff in the background, like scary stuff in the background. Or scary stuff in the foreground that was just like blurred out, with the girl's face, like her mouth hanging open really wide, and like, but she was like blurry, so you couldn't really see her.
See, the movie that did that really well was The Ring, because remember that first jump scare in The Ring? Well, not the very first one, but the
with the girl in the closet.
Yeah, that was like so good. The makeup was excellent. I always have to compare horror movies to The Ring. The pancake face on this girl just doesn't do it for me. It's like there's too much buttermilk in her eyes, and it's like, fine.
She's too cute to be scary.
Yeah, that's part of it too. And she acts so badly. It's like she was playing out a scene from Mean Girls or something. Her resting bitch face or whatever it is.
I liked when the guy was hanging from the ceiling.
And then he grabs the girl and like throws her on the stairs.
Yes, that was unexpected. Like, that was good. I was like, I did not see that coming.
Here's the thing. I dislike laughing at scary movies when the scares happen because I want people to feel scared. But I just couldn't stop laughing at that scene because I was rolling my eyes. Like, if I wasn't laughing, I'd be rolling my eyes. Because really? The guy hanging?
And he didn't do anything again after that. He just grabs her, throws her on the stairs, and then we never see him again.
And the doctor didn't even seem at all concerned that he died.
Right! And we never see his ghost. He was a fracking non-character.
No. Yeah, I mean, because it's like, okay, I can see the doctors thinking that the girl killed her mom, but really? That girl tied up that boy and, like, threw him off? like, really?
This whole thing is just absolutely improbable. The entire story just plain sucks.
Being possessed by a Nazi doctor? Oh, wait, was it?
No,
It was his victims, right?
Well,
Or was it the
I don't-
demon that was possessed?
We
the
don't
fancy
know,
doctor?
Anthony.
That's why it's funny because we don't know and we don't even care.
We don't care. You know what? I don't care. It's like she was possessed by the worst orthodontist in the world. I don't know. Okay?
You know, it's weird. It's like normally I'm trying to, even if it's bad, like try to figure out a mystery. But for some reason, I just didn't care. It was like, meh, you know, it's a demon. Oh, it's the victims of the doctor. Oh, it's the doctor. I don't know. It never bothered me.
There were no mechanics to the monster that we were trying to figure out. Even with the last movie with the djinn, you know, we were trying to figure out, oh, if they hold something precious of yours, they'll get you, and that built up tension. This is like, there was nothing about the rules, there was nothing about the Ouija board. Was the Ouija board...
And apparently her dad could talk to her too, but he was a benevolent spirit, we think.
We think, but then it's like the dad encouraged the girl to murder her sister.
That's right.
Think about it. Just really think about it for a second there. Okay?
That's a good point, though. The Ouija board wasn't even really necessary.
No, and it just came back out of...
Like, the fact that they destroy it and it comes back, like, it doesn't matter at all.
No, it doesn't. It makes absolutely no sense. They could have cut that scene out. The haunting wasn't coming from the Ouija board. It was coming from these... Or we think... So it was fine to burn it and be like, okay, this doesn't solve anything. But they had to bring it back. But for what reason? They had no fracking reason. This movie, like, drained me of good humor.
That wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad. But I guess I was expecting to be scared. I love being scared and creeped out. You know me. I'm not one of these douchebags that's like, oh, I'm not scared of scary movies. Ha ha ha. I hate douchebags like that. I'm not one of these people. I love being scared. I wanted to be scared. I was not scared.
Would it have helped if I stepped on a nail?
If you stepped on a nail.
Oh my gosh, we were watching The Conjuring. This is so good. Tim and I, his housemates, were gone for the weekend or something. Or they were moving, or somebody was moving, or whatever. And we had the entire house to ourselves, put on The Conjuring, and we had Korean food, this delicious Korean food. And it was starting to get scary and stuff like this. And Tim was like, hold on one second, I need to go to the kitchen. So I paused the movie, and the kitchen is like behind this partition. And I'm just like waiting. It's like, okay, Tim, you know, be careful over there, or whatever. Tim goes in there. He lets out this scream, this shriek of pain and terror. And I just like jump out of the sofa, and he's like, James, help me. And I'm, Tim, I swear to God, if you're trying to scare me.
Yeah, he wouldn't help me because he thought I was trying to trick him.
Right.
And I said, it was like, wait, I don't think I'm exaggerating. It was like between a quarter and a half of an inch long. This nail.
In there.
That was all directly, completely into my foot, in my heel.
Into his heel. Yeah, and when we pulled the nail out, I think
you had to pull it out?
Yes. It was okay, Anthony.
How was there a nail on the floor?
It was like a tack.
No.
It was more like a tack.
Oh, I see.
It had a really big base. Right?
Yes.
And so it was just straight up, and I just stepped right on it, and it went all the way in.
What it is one of those things that you put at the bottom of wooden furniture so that they don't scratch the wooden floor.
That's it. It's one of those.
It's plastic, but there's this really long metal pin. And it was just out because they were moving or something, and Tim stepped on it. And when I looked, he was on the floor with this thing sticking out of him. And I was like, oh my goodness, you were actually for real right now. You are actually impaled. You should have seen Tim's face when he pulled it out, because it was like a mixture of detachment and absolute horror. It was just happening so fast that Tim didn't have enough time to really process it. And then immediately afterwards, he had to evacuate his bowels. I'm not even kidding. It must have been some kind of involuntary... Yes!
That's right, I did.
You had
because it was like surreal.
It was an involuntary reaction. You actually evacuate. Well, you didn't evacuate them in the kitchen.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that all out of control. I mean, I could get to the bathroom because the thing is I absolutely hate needles.
Yes.
Like I hate the idea of skin being punctured at all. Like I can't even watch someone get an injection. And like I'm pulling this out,
Yeah.
and it just keeps going and going and
That's right.
going.
I was watching Tim's face, and you got this impression. This is why I said it looked like he was detached, because his mind was in some kind of trauma mode that he needed to step outside of his body so that he had the strength to pull it out and feel the sensation of the needle leaving his flesh.
Wow.
The big surprising thing was it did not hurt, and it didn't leave this big gaping wound. It was like amazing. It's like feet are actually made for this, because it like healed up right away. Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, this was, the feet are really tough because there's no scar or anything, and it was like really in there.
Yeah,
it wasn't a rusty needle.
Well, we had Tim checked out for tetanus like the next day.
No, we didn't.
I thought we told you.
No, I made up some story about how I probably already had a tetanus shot because I went to Honduras and I got my vaccinations then. And then we counted the years. We counted the years. I knew I had all my vaccinations whenever I went to Honduras, and probably that included tetanus, and that was within the required amount of time. And also, my mouth didn't get sewn up. I mean, like, I'm fine now, and so I think it's okay.
Didn't get lockjaw?
I did not get lockjaw.
Oh gosh, Tim, just please, just okay.
But good grief, do you think I would have gone voluntarily to get another shot?
What if we numb the area first?
With a shot. There'll be some dehydrated water too.
I didn't step on a nail, but I dragged my foot across the head of a nail a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
And the door frame in my bathroom, part of the frame on the floor, and it's like nailed down.
Yeah.
And one of the nails was sticking out a little bit, and so I dragged my foot across.
Oh,
I almost went to the hospital, but I ended up just putting a big Band-Aid on it.
It's
like hanging flesh? Like flesh hanging off?
A small piece, but it wasn't that
bad. Oh, gosh. It's like, I can feel that. I feel the lowest chakra just clenching right now. Right there at the base of the spine, just the survival chakra, just, yeah. No. When I was a kid, I was in the living room looking through my microscope, and one of my slides, I didn't know, had fallen down into the carpet, and I knelt on it, and so there was this piece of glass that was like embedded into my knee.
Oof. In your knee?
Yeah.
Ouch.
And I had to pull it out, and it was also a very surreal experience because it was actually painful. And I looked at the blood, and I was like, oh, I see.
Did you put it under the microscope?
I don't think
you know what? This would be cool to look at.
Right?
It's on a slide.
I actually collected blood that I saw in the neighborhood once. Like, when I noticed that there was blood, I got gloves from the house. I collected the
Wait, where? On, like, the side of the street, or
it was on the
sidewalk?
It was coming out of someone's head.
That's right.
I noticed.
It was... That's right. My fifth victim was particularly bloody that day. I don't know why.
It's just dripping from my neighbor's mailbox. I just put a cup under there, collected the drops.
I saw it underneath my neighbor's trunk. I don't know why. It had a terrible smell with it, too.
Oh.
Okay, so I collected the sample, and I was like so paranoid about getting AIDS or something that I had gloves and like 2 different containers, and I wore a face mask with those things that cover the eyes also.
Okay.
And I collected it, and I kept it in the freezer.
How much was it?
It was like the size of a small vial. Like, I'm guessing one of the kids probably had like an accident on their skateboard or something. But I did look at it under a microscope, and I didn't know what I was looking at all. It just looked the same as anything else, and I was like, okay, that's not very interesting.
You thought you were going to see like AB positive or negative if you looked hard enough.
That's right. It's like alphabet soup in there.
This comes from a Polish. I can see half Polish, half German.
Right. Exactly. Oh, look, I can see AIDS. You know. No.
Oh, like those little things from Dr. Mario. You could have seen the little Dr. Mario viruses.
Wow. Very good. When did you play Dr. Mario, Tim?
When I was a kid, I guess.
Dr. Mario was the first video game I ever played.
Really?
Wow.
Well, according to my mom, yeah. I was 2 years old.
Wow.
Huh. What did you first play, Tim?
Pong?
Oh, gosh. Yes.
I'm gonna start calling you Grandpa Tim.
You don't even know.
Oh,
you don't know.
We were just literally just talking about this. Tim is actually older than a grandpa, right? Like a grandpa that he knows.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Must have had kids young.
He's just an infant, I think, right, Marius?
Yes, Marius is like a year old. Both his mother and his mother's parents had children at like age 19 or 18 or something like this. And so, yeah, it's about yes. So,
wait a minute, that would mean that you're
39.
39, almost 40.
Yes, that's very good math there.
39 is indeed almost 40, Anthony.
Not over the hill yet. All right, wait, is over the hill 40 or 50?
40.
It's 50 now.
What? Really?
Oh, yeah, they changed it.
Are you just making this up? Are you like, I'm not that old? It's actually 50 now, guys. You know.
Yeah, I hear in about 10 years they're going to change it to 60. So,
That was good. That was actually wow. Did you practice that, Tim? Have you been practicing that for the past 10 years?
No, that just came to me.
That's good.
So yeah, I was at Marius's baptism, and I met Marius's grandfather and Marius's mother at the time, who I up until then had considered a peer. She's like, "Oh yeah, you're like a year older than my dad, I think. How old are you?" And she's like, "Yeah, you're a year older than my dad." And I'm like, God. "So I'm older than Marius's grandfather." And she's like, "Oh." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm going to go eat some pie alone."
But wait, I thought you and James were in the same class.
That is correct. I didn't start college until I was 28.
Oh, okay.
But
that explains it.
I thought you started, but then stopped and started again. Or am I wrong?
Well, no. Right out of high school, I went to U of H, a 4-year college, but I only lasted like 2 months or something. And then I waited a whole another year, and then I went to junior college for 2 years and got a 2-year college degree in junior college. But then it wasn't until I was 28 that I decided to go back and get a bachelor's degree.
You know, we had an Atari machine at the Mercy House.
That's the first thing I played. I don't remember that, but that's I don't actually know if it was called Pong. I think Pong is actually something a bit different.
But it
was Pong.
Wait. The first video game that you played when you were 28?
No, stop it. I mean, no, I went back to the other conversation. I don't know that it was actually Pong as the first video game that I played, but it was on the Atari, and it was where there wasn't really a joystick, but it was that little paddle. It was those paddles that you turned back and forth, and it was just the ball bouncing, and you moved the paddle to get the bar to catch
that's Pong.
The ball to okay.
that sounds like Pong.
That's it. Okay, yeah, well, I played that on the Atari, and that was the first video game I ever played.
Isn't Pong like the first video game ever?
I think so.
Yes.
My goodness, Tim. You're like a god amongst men.
I am older than the internet. I was on the internet back when it was just bulletin boards. And you had to have someone's phone number of their modem and dial into that, and you post it on their bulletin boards.
But that's not so different from how the internet is today with all the image.
That's right. It wasn't called the internet then. I mean, and I don't even really call it the internet now, because it's not like everyone was connected. It was just like you found the numbers and you could dial into the bulletin boards, but it was a precursor at least to the internet.
Doesn't that mean like only one person can dial in at a time or something? Unless they had multiple phone lines?
They would have multiple lines, right? They would have only so many people could. But you're right, yeah. Only so many people could dial in.
What would people do on these message boards?
I don't remember. Oh. It was kind of like I would go on there and feel like this is really cool. But the cool thing for me was just I dialed another computer. Like I never really found much interesting on there.
Yeah.
But I liked the idea that my computer called another computer, and like listening to the
right, yeah, very good.
I was like, that's how computers talk to each other. Listen, Mom, look, that's the computers talking. What are they saying? I don't know, but they're talking. And
wow.
And then I got AOL, and that was back when AOL was cool.
Did you learn how to type on a typewriter?
I actually did learn how to. Yes, thank you, Anthony. I did learn how to type.
Thanks, douchebag. Thanks, fuckface, for reminding me how old I am.
It did have a digital display, and it was actually it was like, I don't know, like 15, 20 characters on the digital display, and it didn't actually type those characters until they scrolled off of the end. That way, if you backspaced or wanted to change something, like you could just do it digitally there.
That's really clever.
Of course, and then it also had the whiteout tape that you could back up if you needed to.
When I was like 7 years old, 8 years old maybe, I had, as well as a computer, I had a little brother typewriter that I used to write for the science page at my elementary school, which was actually...
Oh, really?
Yeah, or maybe I was 9 or 10.
Did you have those printers that you had the special paper that you had to tear the edges off of?
Yes, which I always derive satisfaction from tearing those things off. It's just... My favorite game was Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?
Oh, I think I played that like once. But by the time it came out, I was too old for it.
I think the very first video game I ever played was Chess Master 2000 back in 1990 when I was like 5 years old.
Did you win?
I did, because I memorized the moves the computer would make.
Oh, clever.
And
very good.
My dad would always be very angry that I did that. There was this one other game that I totally don't remember the name. There was like an eagle and a golden egg NES game. Come on, what is it? Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors. How does Google know this? If I just put in Eagle, Golden Egg, NES game, and it knows the game. What the?
Google knows all.
Google has all the answers.
Oh, it has what's his name on the cover? Fabio.
Video games were so fun as a kid.
Yeah, these video games nowadays, they suck. They're all like real life. Have millions of colors in them, way complicated, move so fast.
So realistic.
Right. Good grief.
When I go upstairs and I see my housemates playing a video game, it's like they're watching a movie. It's like, and they're just sitting there too. It's like, are you really even involved? But they're just sitting here. Every once in a while they press a button, but it's like they're watching a movie. And I'm like, I don't get this.
What do your housemates play, Tim?
Video games.
Okay, but which kind? What are the titles?
Oh, I don't know the titles.
What does it look like?
A movie.
Okay.
Set in the Middle Ages.
Oh, I wonder what they could
Are they playing For Honor?
I don't know. I don't know how I would live without the internet. I was just thinking of that. It's like, I don't know much. What I'm really good at is just finding it out really quickly. And
I'm okay with that, actually. I don't want to know a lot. I just want to know how to quickly find what I want to know.
Right, but if there's a solar flare or an EMP bomb...
Yes, but then I won't need to worry about what is the game called that has an eagle and a golden egg.
That's right. But all of the other things that I would want to know, like where's the nearest, I don't know, bomb shelter, or wherever I want to... I don't know. I don't know how to... Everything that I know how to do is by Googling it. You know what I did today? Actually, I was shopping, I
Oh,
didn't,
congratulations, Tim.
I thank you. I was at the Home Depot, and I remember that we needed a new air filter for the air
refrigerator?
conditioner.
Oh, okay.
For the air conditioner.
Yeah.
Right? But I didn't know the size. But I remember that I had looked it up on Amazon like months ago.
Yeah.
And so I actually went on Amazon on my phone and went through my search history to find where I searched it. And I looked, and it's like every time I Googled one of the stupid movies that we would recommend on Amazon, it's all there. It's like everything. So looking through here, it looks like I watched all these movies, for one thing. And like all of it, I finally got there and I found the measurements for what I needed. I got it. It fit fine. But it's like Amazon and Google know everything about me. Somehow, Amazon, even though I don't sign in at work on Amazon, I don't think, I mean, I must have, but Amazon knew the stuff that I searched for at work. Like, Google and Amazon just know everything about me.
I wrote a horror story once about this guy who Amazon starts recommending stuff to him that recommends stuff that he needs before he actually needs it. Like, it recommends mace, and then he gets attacked by a guy in the street the next day.
Wow.
So it's like predicting his future kind of thing.
I remember you telling me this. It's a good premise.
It's actually really good. It can be done in such a way where the AI is just getting so good of its algorithms and predicting patterns and all this stuff because it uses his phone data, everything where he goes. It knows who his friends are. He knows where they're going, what they're doing. And so it's not that it's some supernatural thing. It's just the algorithms are so good that it's figured out that he's going to need mace because his friend is going to kill him.
Because his friend is buying a knife and looking up his friend's address,
tracking the car coming toward the apartment, you know, it's like pops up right here, free 2-hour delivery with Amazon Prime now.
That's right, and they know through Facebook that they recently swapped girlfriends. There's resentment.
Oh wow!
There.
And I'm not getting an Amazon Echo or any of those things that, you know, you can say, Amazon, just play me this song, or anything that's like always listening in my house. Or I'm not going to have a connected like doorbell where like I can lock my front door from my phone or something like that. Because like I don't people hacking this stuff, and I don't want something listening to me all the time. I'm starting to really feel like a cranky old man.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you're not going to get one of them newfangled Echoes, Grandpa Tim?
Wait. Steve is mom, Cade is dad, or is it the other way around?
No. Wait, which one was it? I thought Cade was mom.
Cade's mom, Steve is dad, and now Tim is grandpa.
Wow. How did Cade get to be mom?
I asked Anthony that a while back. I don't know why.
I don't remember. He was more motherly.
Oh, Cade can be more motherly. I wonder about that. Like, what is Cade's personality type?
Oh, you mean like EMRJ?
EMRJ, right. Cade's personality type is NERD. Oh, I should have Cade listen to us. No, I'll have Cade join us sometimes.
Good.
Yes,
Good.
I know, right?
You've summoned him.
I wonder what 5 items we can use to summon Cade. Like one...
His Picard toy would be one.
Doesn't he have a dual disc thing also?
From Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right?
Yeah. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, yeah.
Didn't he play football also? He's like
he played rugby.
He did play rugby. He was like all into the Jets or something like this, or is still is. I don't know. I'll have to ask him. I think that'll wrap it up for tonight, gentlemen. Wait, what did you just link me to? What 5 items can I use? Wow.
Google knows all.
Google
baits for opossums.
Yes. What 5 items can I use to lure Cade?
A possum bait, axefish lure, arcane lure, and chipmunk bait. Those are the 5 things we need to summon Cade.
WH fronting, and then 1,000 plus images about Cade on Pinterest. Wow. Cade, my eldest boy and my thinker. I'm so proud. So what should we say for our outro?
I think you should say, we give you our thanks and we say good night.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It was a very pleasant evening. Our movie was not as impressive as I wanted it to be.
Don't forget to say goodbye.
They never said goodbye in the movie once, did they?
Yeah, and they all died.
In what movie?
So please.
Oh, for the Ouija board.
What did you think we were talking about?
The one we're trying to forget. Thanks for reminding me.
Right.
No one's Skyping from a graveyard right now, right?
No. I
No
mean,
one-
unless something's buried here.
And no one's Skyping alone, are they? Oh gosh, how pathetic would that be? Skyping alone in a graveyard and never wanting to say goodbye. Wow!
How emo.
I know, right? Okay, but enough talk.
Have at you.
Very good, Anthony. And on that terrible disappointment, it's time to end. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night.
Bye
Good night.
bye.